Okay, so I'm just going to finish up the Trailblazer. I started this last night. It got really late. We didn't get to finish it, so I'm just gonna wait for some people to hop on. I was gonna go live at noon, but I slept in, and then I had to rearrange my area so that I could work a little bit better, because yesterday I really couldn't work. And then also my husband went and got me a stool so that I'm higher up for sewing the on the cylinder, because I was on a lower one and it like really hurt my back. Like I'm like so sore today from sitting, standing, and so hopefully this stool works. We'll see. And then, like I said, I rearranged my room so that things are a little easier to get to. So we last finished putting the exterior together. So we finished this last night. It's all done. So we have our back, and then our front with the little flap and the pocket. So now we can set this aside, and we're gonna move on to our setting up our lining. So grab your lining pieces. So you're gonna grab your bottom exterior. You want to grab your exterior side panels, and you want to grab your exterior, or your, sorry, not exterior, interior lining pieces for your lining. So you'll have the one with the pocket, and then you also have the one right here with the split pocket. Real quickly, I'm just going to so I have my thread zapper right here. Real quickly, I'm going to go through and zap any of these excess threads from that are showing. Make sure, let a couple more people hop on. It's probably not going to be as many as last night, just because I did, like I said, I'm on a little bit later, but I want to go ahead and finish up this Trailblazer. And then also I'm going to take off the the flatbed part of the cylinder machine, and we can top stitch the bag using the actual cylinder. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to mark 3/4 of an inch on our exterior sides here. Just like we did on the, it's similar to what we did on the exterior, only it's instead of 3/8 of an inch, it's going to be 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to grab my marking pen and measure up 3/4 from the top. Do the same thing to your other lining piece. These are going to be the side panels. So you're going to mark 3/4. Mark that line. So this is going to be your bottom, and this is going to be your bottom here. And then I'm just going to go ahead right now, do the same thing to my bottom, where we mark those 3/4 of an inch boxes. When we did it for the exterior, it was 3/8 of an inch, but now it's going to be 3/4 of an inch. So mark out that 3/4 of an inch. Three-quarters of an inch. And then 3/4 of an inch also on this side. Okay. You can set these aside. So just grab one of your exterior side panels, and one of your interior side panel, and also your interior main lining panel. And you just want to clip on the side, and I'm gonna mark out my 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm also gonna re-mark out my so I need to mark out where my 3/8 of an inch is at, and I need to mark out where my 3/4 of an inch is on my machine because it doesn't have that. I'm hoping eventually I can find something to like mark it that doesn't keep coming off, because permanent marker eventually rubs off. Okay. And then for some reason, I don't know if it's just because like since my machine is new, the washi tape and stuff does not want to stay on either. Okay, so I'm just gonna use this one here because it has better markings for the, so there's my center. I want my 3/8 of an inch first, so Okay, so 3/8, and then I need my 3/4 of an inch marking so that I know I have the right seam allowance. Okay. Okay. So what it wants you to do is it wants you to start sewing at a, so from the top it's going to be 3/8 of an inch, and then you're going to grade it down to a 3/4 of an inch and stop right here on your line that we marked, the 3/4 of an inch line. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be starting from this side. So I'm going to start at 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to end at 3/8 of an inch. So right about on this third clip here is when I'm going to start moving in from that 3/4 of an inch seam allowance to 3/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to move my swing guide down to 3/4 of an inch. Okay. And I'm going to start right on that marking that we made. So you want to make sure your needle is right on that line. So, hoping y'all can see. Let me know if you need me to move the camera down a little bit so y'all can see a little bit better. So I'm going to put my needle down just a little bit so that I can make sure that it's actually on the, I want to make sure that I actually start on that line. So, put my foot down. My stitch length is going to be at like a 3 3¾ of like millimeters, I think is how they measure out the stitch length. And since I'm using waterproof canvas, I'm going to adjust my foot. Since I'm not sewing on that bulky foam, I'm going to move the height of my pressured foot, or the height of my walking foot, to like a 2½. And that's just so that my foot doesn't walk as high. I'm using the Thor GC 1341, and it has that option where you can adjust the height that your walking foot, your actual like foot walks at, which I think is a cool feature. So I'm gonna start and back stitch. And a little bit. I'm just going to go 3/4 of an inch. And like I said, when I hit this third one here, I'm going to start moving in to that 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I'm starting to, so I want to end at 3/8 of an inch. And then back stitch. So you can see where I started at that 3/4 of an inch, and then I went in to that 3/8 of an inch. Hi Cindy, how are you? Now we're gonna do the same exact thing to We're going to do the same exact thing to our other side here. So you're going to want to line it up, match your bottoms, and then you can match your side edges. And I'm going to match my top real quick. Oops. Okay. So on this one here, we're going to start at 3/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to make my way to that, I'm going to make my way to that 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. And I want to just go all the way up until I get to the marked line. Oh, that's so nice. Yes, so my parents are going to be taking the boys. They called us like last minute, so I woke up fairly late. Obviously because I was up late. But so I woke up really late and I wanted to like rearrange the room, but my parents decided that they got a pool and they set it up and stuff, and so they had called the boys and told them they were coming to pick them up. So we had to get them ready. My husband went to the store. He got me he went to go find me a stool for the machine because my back was just killing me from sitting so low and then having to stand. So he went and found me a stool at Walmart, and then he went and got the boys swim trunks and stuff to go swimming. So I just started at 3/8 of an inch, and now I'm at the 3/4 of an inch seam allowance, and I'm just gonna continue making my way all the way till I get to that line. And I'm just gonna go slow once I get close. Perfect, and now I can back stitch to lock it in place. So there we go. I start at that 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and then went all the way down to that 3/4 of an inch. And now you're going to want to do, the same exact thing to the other main panel. So we're going to just match up the bottoms here and then match up the top. And then we can clip the remaining sides. Just like before, I'm going to start at that 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and grade into that 3/4 of an inch until we get to the marking that we made. So, starting at the top. I'm going to start grading to that 3/4 of an inch, making sure that your pocket is not in the way, your zipper pocket. I'm at that 3/4 of an inch now. And now I'm getting close, so I'm going to go a little slower. So I want to stop right on that marking, at 3/4 of an inch marking we made at the bottom. And then I'm going to back stitch. When I adjusted my room, I did not continue bringing so just like before, start at that 3/8 of an inch and grade it into the 3/4 of an inch. And you want to do that to the other side now. So I like to just start by matching the bottoms and my tops. And then go and match my Hi, Shanova. Okay, so here we go. Starting at that 3/4 of an inch, you want to make sure that your needle is starting at that position. You don't want to go too far back. You want to start right on that line. Take a couple stitches and then back stitch. Make sure that my pocket is out of the way, and then I'm going to start grading it to that 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay. Here we go. Now we're at that 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And so now we have our lining done. Grab your bottom panel, the lining bottom panel, and I'm going to mark my centers. On all of my sides, or just the long, I'm going to do just the long sides because I didn't mark my bottom panels. And now you're just going to start on one panel, doesn't matter what side. I'm going to match my centers. And you want to do, pretty much you're just going to sew right up to that 3/4 of an inch box that we made, just like we did for the exterior bottom panel. I'm going to line up my bottoms here, and we're stitching this at 3/4 of an inch seam allowance, so that 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. So you're going to start at that 3/4 of an inch marking. I'm going to make sure everything stays nice and even. 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and I'm making sure that my needle is right on that 3/4 of an inch marking. So I'm going to take a couple stitches, back stitch, and then go all the way and stop at the next 3/4 of an inch seam allowance, or the next 3/4 of an inch marking. So we're going to stitch this. We're not going to grade anything. We don't need to. You only want to grade the side because it'll help fit the lining fit into your exterior and not be baggy, or it'll fit nice and tight, snug. You want a nice snug lining. So once I get to that marking, I'm going to back stitch, and so this is what it should look like at 3/4 of an inch right here. So you're going to start, stop, making sure you back stitch at a 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. Now we're going to do our other long lining. So you're just going to clip. I'm just going to clip the center. Oops. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to match my bottoms. So I'm going to do the same thing just like we did on here on the other side. So you're going to want to start at that 3/4 of an inch marking we made, making sure you back stitch. Okay, so we're going to take a couple stitches, back stitch, lock those in place. We're just sewing this at a 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. I'm just adjusting my seam guide just so I know that it's at that 3/4 of an inch, because sometimes it moves back a little bit. So I'm gonna take another stitch, and now I'm gonna back stitch right when I get to that 3/4 of an inch marking we made. Okay. So we have our 3/4 of an inch done on, we have our 2 lining bottoms sewn at 3/4 of an inch. Now we're gonna do the short sides. So all you need to do is you can just match the corners. You just wanna make sure everything is nice and even. I didn't mark my centers, which is okay as long as you match, making sure they're even. So I'm going to go ahead and clip on that side, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to clip on this side. So I'm going to start by just matching up these sides here. Do the same thing to my other side. So you have this attached. So now we're going to do the same thing like we did on the long ones. 3/4 of an inch, starting right at that line that we marked, or that box. 3/4 of an inch, and we're going to start and back stitch. Whoops. Threw that down. I'll make sure that nothing gets stuck underneath there. I want to make sure I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. Okay. So, making sure everything lines up still. And if you have the GC 1341 and you notice that when you're like trying to sew and start, like when I was going right here, it wasn't moving. When that happens, you just want to adjust the height of your feed dogs, because this is pretty much like the height of the how high your feed dogs walk up and down is based on this right here. So you want to make sure that if, like I said, when I was first sewing on the sides, I was using the waterproof canvas, which is really thin, which is why I didn't want my walking foot to walk so high, because it didn't need to, because it's thin, there was no bulk. But once you start sewing the when you sew the short sides, you do get that bulk right here. So if your feed dogs are not getting up high enough, it's stuck, which is what was happening. And I just, pulled it a little bit to try to get it walking through, but you could easily just adjust. Like I said, I have this set at like a 2 and maybe like 3/4, a little bit past 2.5. So like my feed dogs or my foot here is not walking as high as it normally would, but you can adjust how high your foot is, or that your foot is walking based on this. And that's what like I said, when I did when I first talked about this machine when I bought it, this is the option that I really like on paper. But now that I have it in person, I absolutely love it, because it's like having your own it's pretty much like having your own, sorry, I accidentally pulled some extra thread. It's like having your own built-in hump jumper, which is nice, because that gives this the range to be able to sew on waterproof canvas, but also to be able to sew thicker stuff like foam, leather, stuff like that, because it does walk pretty high. But like you said, just have to adjust this here. So if you find that it's getting stuck, it could just be that it's not walking high enough for the bulk that you have on your whatever you're using. Okay, so now so I got close to the 3/8 of an inch right there, making sure that I stopped and start. I'm hoping y'all can see. Let me see if I can adjust my, okay. Just making my screen brighter so I can see, just in case. I'm still getting used to the YouTube live question feed, because I normally do lives in Swoon or Facebook, and the comments, they don't disappear like they do on YouTube. Like YouTube, they'll disappear as soon as you write something, they're gone, versus on YouTube they stay there. Or not YouTube, but Facebook, they stay there, and then I can just scroll to see what I missed. But if I look up, I don't see any comments. I feel like I'm not. Gray stripes in what part of it? Like this bag here. Hi, Brenda. Yes, I'm hoping to start doing more lives and stuff. I've been getting, I've been making sure I ask a lot of people for permission to do their videos. So like I said, I got permission from Bagstock, which I'm really super excited about. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and make a Trailblazer. I also got permission from Country Cow, and I also from Bumble Root. I bought like this really cool, like, she has like this mega bundle pack of like different add-ons for a couple of wallets that she has. So I'm really excited to try that out. So Cindy, this is just, maybe this gray stripe is what you're seeing. It's just the zipper that's inside. And then you can kind of see there's excess zipper tape. Yes, Cindy, it is so much more comfortable now. The smaller chair, it was just too high for me to like see, because I was more leveled or a little bit lower than eye level. So I like to be like on top so I can see actually where I'm stitching. So I'm happy I went ahead and got the stool. I think it's going to be a lot better because, like I said, I can't adjust this. Like there's a little bit of wiggle room for me to adjust it, but it's like maybe an inch. And if I were to adjust it, I would have to get a whole new belt for my machine. And for 1 inch, that's not really going to make a difference. It didn't seem worth it, so I just went ahead and bought a new stool. This was just temporary. I'm hoping to maybe I'll get like a really nice, like one of those working like ergonomic stools, because I see myself working on this machine quite a bit. Okay, so just like we did on the other side, I'm going to put this under my foot, but I'm going to make sure here I'm going to do the other way because this way is better. So I want to make sure I'm going to start where there's not going to be a lot of bulk, but on this side here there is, because this is where that slip pocket is. So I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on it. I shouldn't have to worry about it because my foot shouldn't get to that shouldn't need to walk over that because I'm stopping right before, but I'm just going to keep an eye on that just in case I need to adjust my the height of my foot. But like I said yesterday, a lot of this is all really just like learning my machine. I feel like it's eventually going to become second nature to me to do these things. So I'm starting right at that 3/4 of an inch. So if you're looking at, and I'll show you towards the end. Let me see. I want to make sure that y'all can like see me very well. You can see everything that I'm doing. But I will show you. You want to when you're looking at your bag, you'll see that these stitching pretty much almost like connect, because like you're stopping at that 3/4 of an inch. You're not going past. You shouldn't go past the marking, so like everything should meet up. And I have to remember to hold my thread. I need that to become second nature for me. Just habit. Okay, so I'm getting close to my previous stitching. I'm going to go a little bit. I'm just going to adjust it just a little past the 3 if you have the GC 1341. I'm just adjusting the height just to get me a little bit over. And now I'm going to back stitch. And forward stitch. And then we can trim all this excess thread. So this is what I mean when you're sewing it. You are pretty much, so you're should be like connecting. So you stop on this side and you stop on this side. If you follow that and don't go past, they will connect nicely. So you shouldn't have any gaps or anything. If you have gaps like right here, that means that you didn't go far enough up. And that should give you a nice boxed bottom. Okay, so now we're going to trim down all the seam allowance to 1/4 inch, just like we did everywhere else. Just like we did on the other side, but this time, since we don't have any of the, connectors here, you don't have to worry about not trimming the connectors. So I'm going to trim this down to 1/4 inch. On all sides. So I'm going to start with my long edges, and then I'll do my short edges, and then I'll do the sides of my bag. And we're just trimming this to 1/4 inch seam allowance. Same thing to the short side. Like I said, you just want to So we're just trimming this to that 1/4 inch that the pattern suggests you trim down your seam allowance, just to help get rid of bulk. I'm gonna go pull a trash can closer to me because I forgot to bring one over. Just be easier. There we go. Okay, so now we can move on to attaching the main zipper. So we're gonna go ahead and set aside the lining. I'll grab some water real quick. You're going to want to grab your zipper. Like I said, I tend to not cut my zipper until it gets to that point. So this one is going to be the 20-inch length for that zipper. Whoops. So real quickly, I'm going to measure out 20 inches. Probably about like 21 to 20. Whoops. I'm just going to measure out that because I have a ruler over here. You can always cut it down if you need to. I have mine at like 22. Make sure it's nice and even. And then I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that I burn my edges so that they're not gonna fray. Ooh, I'm gonna have to look at that. I know, I'm sorry, Rosie. I hopped on late. I was just asleep. I slept in later than what I'm like used to. Took me a little while to get out of bed, and then I ended up having to get the kids ready. My husband ran out for me to get me a stool because I told him I was so sore from last night. Like I was hurting. So I'm gonna put my zipper pull on. So so there we go. My zipper pull is on. And I'm going to, real quickly, I'm just going to stitch the end here of my zipper. Adjust my pressure feet so that so you can kind of see how that made a difference. Like when it was lower, sorry if you can hear my kids, they're fighting. If you saw, I had it like at like that a little bit past this 3 1/4, and since my foot wasn't walking high enough, it couldn't get over that bulk of the zipper. But when I adjusted it to walk a little higher, it went through like no problem whatsoever. So I really, really love that feature for this machine. So real quickly, I am just going to grab some pins. So I can reach them. And grab me also a magnet. The only thing that kind of bums me out is on my machine, the top here is like this part here, you can put magnets on, but magnets don't stay on this. I think it's because it's like aluminum or something. It's not like. So on my Juki, I have some magnets up here that hold a couple of pins for when I do this part of a zipper. So I'm just going to show you how to do it. What I do is that's why I like to put my zipper just a little bit longer so that I have some room to, you can mark it if you want to. I just eyeball one side and you just want to pinch and pull up from the front side, not the back. So you want your front side to look a little bit like this. So I just do one side and then I make the other side to where that's even. And then I like to pin it just within the seam allowance or outside of the seam allowance so that I can continue keeping this on when I sew the rest of it. So I just pin it so that it's in place and then I can top stitch or base it down on this side. So now what I want to do is I want to get the other side just as even for, I'm gonna do the same thing I did. for my other side. Making sure it's all nice and even. I'm just pulling up. And so what I do is I get my other pin. Making sure nothing shifts. And then in order to see if these are even, I pull up my zipper. And that will tell you if it's nice and even. You can see it's a little off on one side. So all I need to do is just pull this down and adjust it just a tad, and it will be fine. So. And like I said, I tend to nitpick on things, so like the zipper is probably just fine, but like I said, I just like to make sure. So I just fiddle with this until it's perfect for me. There we go. And now it looks a lot better. It's nice and even. So now I can just go ahead and base this at that 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm just going to take a couple stitches and then back stitch back. Just enough to where it a couple of tack downs. Just want to keep it in just want to make sure that it stays in place. So now I'm going to pull my threads a little bit. I'm going to make sure that I'm at and do the same thing to our other side. And if you need to, sometimes I get my stiletto and I just hold that in place. Oops. Trying to like figure out the best way for lighting, because I don't like darkness, so I like my area to be bright so I can sew. I feel like, I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out how to adjust this like light that I got with it to where it like, because if you saw me sew on my Juki, I have like 5 lights shining down. Let me check my bobbin. There we go. So I had some thread stuck in my bobbin casing, so I was trying to just get that out. Luckily I got it. So it looks like I'm actually going to need to wind another bobbin. So real quickly, I'm going to pull out the remaining thread that's in here. And I need to make sure that I stop pulling this off all the way. Okay. So let's wind this bobbin real quickly. I will say it only took me I only went through 2 bobbins. But I still feel that's a lot for how much an end bobbin holds. But I, for some reason, always go through, bobbins quite a lot. Probably because I base and I, like, take my stitching out a lot. Okay, so I just want to make sure that my foot is where it needs, or my, just want to make sure that my, oh my goodness, I cannot think. My lever is pushed down. Okay, and then I can snip that. Okay, there we go. Now that that is done, there's also, like, if you have this machine, there's a really cool, like, they have a, like, where you can, like, cut the thread off, I think. That's what, like, Sam had did. But it never, like, really works for me. Okay. So, bobbin done. So, just like before. Yes, so it's not like the Juki DDL 5550 where there's actual, like, a reservoir, like an oil pan. So the only thing is you don't have, like, from what, when I was talking to Sam, is there's these red marks where it shows you, like, all the places you need to oil it. So pretty much you said once a week you just place 5 drops of oil into the where the red oiling spots are. So he, like, kind of showed me they're all, like, marked in red. He said I only have to put 5 drops a week, and that will be good. Like, that will oil it doesn't take as much oil as the Juki, and there's no, like, from what he told me, I don't have to, like, open it up, take out oil and stuff like that, like the Juki DDL 5550. So that was actually kind of nice. So perfect P for perfect sewing. That's how I remember to put my bobbin in the right way. Make sure it's in the little notch here. Flip your little I guess I'll call it like a switch, your bobbin switch on your machine, and then close it. You'll flip it off. Now you can thread your machine. So you go down, go up until you hear the click. There we go. I feel like I didn't hear a good enough click, so I'm going to, everything's up, so I want to try again. So I'm going to go up here, down, here, there we go, better. Felt that click, and then also it doesn't help that I didn't put my foot up to the highest point, so let's go ahead and do that. Through here. Through here. There's a lot of like thread guides once you get here, so it's all about putting it through. And then on this one, there's like a little like thing that holds your thread in. You can set it from either side, but I put mine on so like it's like a screw, and it's like a little it's like a thin little plate. I put it on the left side, but Sam said it doesn't matter when he was teaching me to sew or to thread it. He said it didn't matter what side it was on. It could be on the right or the left. And so now put it through the needle just like you would on your Juki, from left to right. The grooves, the little indented groove should be on facing into your machine. And now I'm just going to hold my thread and pick my bobbin up. Pull it through. Take your foot off the machine before you and for some reason I did not. Okay. Now, close that, and it is ready. Like I said, I feel like eventually I'll get quicker at all that, but for now, still got to get used to I'm just going to adjust this down a little bit. Make sure that my needle is down, holding my threads. Take a couple stitches. And like I said, I'm basting it just within that seam allowance. No, so it won't be seen whenever I go to attach it. And now I can just trim this off. And there's my zipper. You can see where it's like basted on each side. Okay, just making sure I'm not missing comments. Move this, and I'm gonna go ahead and move my swing guide back to 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay. So I normally wait till the very end to put on my zipper end, but I did baste this closed so I don't have to worry about my zipper coming off. And now grab your exterior here. We're gonna grab our exterior. And the good thing is we marked our centers already. So this will kind of help. So you want to mark 2 inches. You want to make sure that your center is 2 inches from the center. Hold on. Oh wait. Yeah, so you want to mark out 2 inches from this side. So right here you're going to mark out 2 inches. It's going to be a little bit less than your center, but that's okay. Make a mark 2 inches on the exterior side panel top from the side edge. So we're going to do that from each side. So I'm going to do from the front. So I'm just putting my So I'm putting up my ruler up against the edge, and then I'm going to mark 2 inches over. So 2 inches, and then you're going to mark to the on the other side of the panel. So I'm going to go ahead and mark all sides of my panels. So 2 inches here, 2 inches, and then we're going to mark 2 inches from the other side. I'm just going to go ahead and do it just in case. It doesn't say specifically what side, if it should be the front or the back. So just go ahead and mark 2 inches from the front and the back. So place exterior on the table so the front side is up, and we're going to pin or clip since I'm using I'm going to clip since I'm using vinyl. So you're going to clip or pin the main zipper exterior front starting from that 2-inch mark that we made from the edge. Zipper should be right sides down with the zipper pull to the left. So you want, so here is my zipper. Let me move y'all so y'all can see what I'm doing. So you're gonna move this out of the way. I'm gonna open my zipper just a tad. So at that 2-inch marking that we did right here, I don't know if you can see it, probably not, 2-inch marking, that's where I'm gonna start this end of my zipper. And what I'm gonna do is you're gonna have a little bit of the overhang. You only want to line up this part here. So you want that, the edge of that zipper to match up to the edge of the other zipper. So we're gonna match that all the way across. You're just gonna clip this all the way to the other side of that 2-inch mark on this side here. So I don't know if you can see it. Maybe it'll be better if it might be too bright. So right here, 2-inch mark. You're just gonna take this zipper all the way across. Just matching up the edge of your zipper tape to the edge of your exterior. And I'm measuring it up with the vinyl. Not any like overhang from foam, which there is a little bit, but not like too much. So you want to just line it up with your exterior vinyl or fabric if you use fabric. So just gonna keep on going. So now I'm getting to that 2-inch mark, and that's where I'm gonna clip right before that 2-inch mark. So my 2-inch mark is right here. I don't know if you can see it right there. And I'm clipping right before. That way I'm able to pull this down out of the way, because you want this to trail off so that you have this extra like little overhang. So I'm going to, so this is what I like to do, just because I like to be a little precise whenever I'm making this or anything. I am going to, from that 1-inch mark right here on my foam, and I'm going to be very careful, I am going to mark 1 inch from that. And I'm just going to mark right here on the very top. And I'm going to do that on this side also, on the back side. So 1 inch from that mark. It's not going to be seen. I'm just going on the very top of my vinyl. I'll show you. So I marked 1 inch just on the top here, because what the pattern's going to have you do is, once you get where that 1 inch mark is at, that is when you're going to start trailing off the zipper for the, that's when you're going to start trailing off. You want to, when you're 1 inch away from the mark on the other side panel, you're going to pin the zipper downward so that it's completely out of the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So that's like where you're gonna want to start trailing off. So what I like to do is I just like to, I keep it clipped, but I mark it so that I know that that's where I want to start pulling it 1/4 inch out of my seam allowance. So at that point is when you're going to pull it down so that it starts going at a diagonal, so that by the time you get to this 2-inch mark here, it's 1/4 of an inch out of the seam of this seam allowance. So it'll be kind of like, it'll look kind of like this when you're starting to sew it. So you'll have it, and then you'll hit that 1-inch mark and you'll start pulling it out. So by the time you get to this 2-inch mark, there's no zipper tape that you are sewing up. I hope that makes sense. So let's go ahead and move you back till you can see the pose. See the you see what I'm doing. So now we're going at 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring in that seam guide as close as I can to that 1/4 inch. Stitch length is still going to be at that 3, and let's see, it's about like 3 1/4. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to use, if you can, use a zipper foot. If not, I don't have a zipper foot. So I am actually, at this part, I'm actually going to use my cylinder foot, my cylinder machine, because that's actually going to make it a lot easier. So I'm going to show you how to take off the, I'm going to show you how to take this off. So I'm just going to real quickly move everything out of the way, and I need to grab a wrench, which I had one. Maybe I put it in. Maybe it came with one. I don't think it did. Oh, no. So I'm going to grab, I have a wrench. I just need to find the right side. Somewhere around here, because I know I saw my child playing with it the other day. And then I'm gonna also move y'all lower so that y'all can actually see what I'm doing. So I just need to find the right size for the I'm just gonna check. There we go. So this is what I use. I have one of these wrenches. I think that's what they're called. Craftsman's. It's a 1/2 inch. So that's what I need in order to get this. So now I'm gonna move y'all down so that we can disassemble this. So hopefully I can get y'all as low as possible. Actually, I'm gonna just bring y'all with me to the other side here. Should have just took you off this tripod and put you on a different one, but obviously I'm not thinking. Okay. So, sorry, my floor is a mess. So here we go. Make sure I'm not missing any. Okay. So, in order to get this off, and see if you can see. Here we go. Perfect. So this here is what the flatbed is being held on to. So there's two. There's two on this side, and then there's also two on the other side. So right here are two little, you'll probably see them. You can see them right underneath here. Whoa, sorry. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not making anybody sick. Okay. So right here are two nuts or bolts. So I'm going to, I just need to loosen them up. And just take it off. So you unscrew one, just loosen it up enough for me to I'm just undoing this until it comes off enough for me to be able to. So that side is now taken off, and I just automatically put them in my where my machine goes, or my machine I just put it where my that drawer in my machine. So I'm gonna move y'all now so that you can see the other part of it. Oops. So let's see. Right about here is where I'm gonna be. I'll probably lower y'all just a bit there. Okay. So now, right here, there's these two nuts right in front of my servo motor is bolts. And I just need to loosen them up. And I just pretty much do the same exact thing I did to my front. I just loosen them up until I can take them off by hand. So I have one, stick it in my second one. Yeah, so see, I'll show you also like what I mean about lowering the table. So, hope you can see. Y'all can't see. I'm sorry. I don't want to make anybody sick. Okay, so let me pull my phone off. Maybe that will help. Okay, so for me here, this right here will adjust the height of my table. It's only about like maybe like an inch or so. It won't be enough, but the thing is that if I were to lower this table, I would have to get a new belt because it will bring down. It'll bring down this machine. So like it'll bring it down so that this belt would no longer fit. And I would have to get a new belt in order to accommodate that in order to accommodate the difference. But you can see here the caster wheels, it brings up a lot of height on the machine also. So if this was just sitting on no caster wheels, kind of like my Juki over here, that will be 4 inches shorter than where it's at now, which won't affect the belt at all. And that's kind of the issue, is that the caster wheels puts on that extra 4 to 5 inches. So let me show you real quickly right here. This is where the where I took off the bolts for the table. So I'm gonna put you back on my tripod. Hi, Beverly. Thank you for joining. Sorry, my room is a mess, and y'all just saw that. I'm sure everybody has a bunch of thread like I do all over their floor too. Okay. So now, ooh, get up. I'm gonna rise you up. Okay, so now you can see I'm gonna actually take y'all back over here because you'll be able to see me take it off, take everything off. So give everybody a nice view of the tables. Okay, so now we took off the nuts and the bolts, and so now what we're gonna do is we're going to, you have to pull, so I have to lift, and then kind of this is where it always gets tricky for me, because I have to go over the knee lift so I have to get over my knee lift on this side. So I have that knee lift right here. I have to pull up and then try to get it over the knee lift. So that's kind of where I tend to, right now I'm getting stuck. I'm trying to find the best way to take that off. So then you have your flatbed, and is now off, and you can just set that aside wherever, but you want to make sure that you grab these washers that were sitting on the holes right here. Okay, so you want to make sure if you have this machine, you grab those. And like I said, I put everything right in my drawer so I don't lose it. Luckily, the only thing is it's probably something that you can easily replace if you went to Lowe's or something, but it's probably the last thing you want to do. So now I'm going to move you closer. I'm actually going to bring you onto my side so that you can see me actually using the machine. So I'm going to move that little table out of the way. You won't see me as much, but you'll see. Okay, so I'm going to turn my machine back on because I turned it off. Turn my light on if I can find the power button. Whoops. So there we go. There's the cylinder arm option right there. So I'm gonna see. At this point, we can just set in our bag. I hope you can see. I don't want my arm getting in the way. I'm just gonna put it in the way just a little bit so I can get my my bag through. So right here we're sewing at a 1/4 of an inch. I'm actually going to baste first. So I like to, instead of going at a 1/4 of an inch, because let me double check. Instead of going at a 1/4 of an inch, I tend to like to do my basting at a 1/8 of an inch. Because what we're going to do is we're actually going to baste, like you're going to, I guess, baste this on with a 1/4 of an inch seam. And then you're going to do the other side. But you also are then going to put the lining into the, you're going to put the lining or the main panel into the lining. And then you're going to sew it again at a 1/4 of an inch seam. But the only thing is that I'm not very good at restitching over a stitch line, so I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch so that when I go to construct my lining at that 1/4 of an inch, I don't have to worry about any extra stitching showing, because I won't have to worry about making sure that I sew on that 1/4 of an inch that we had just already done. So I'm going to move everything out of the way, lift my foot here so that, and I'm going to baste this at a 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to put my seam guide up because I don't need it. I'm just going to adjust, making sure that my threads are out. Let me see. There we go. And I want to start right on that zipper, right there, on that marking. I want to make sure it's all nice and lined up. So this is my first time like really using the like cylinder on a bag, so I have to get used to how it looks. I'm gonna grab a chair because I think at this point a chair would be even better. Oops, sorry everyone. I did not mean to move y'all. Oh no. Okay, so yeah, a chair at this point. I like a chair here while on this, like when doing the cylinder, because I get a better view than standing up and I can like really adjust all this. But when you have the flatbed on, it's not really feasible. Like I said, I just have to get used to the cylinder part, but I can just add this on. So making sure everything stays nice and straight. I can put my foot down. Like I said, I'm gonna base this at an 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to go ahead, find my threads. Can't find my second one, so I have my, oh, there it is. Okay. So I have my stitch length. I'm gonna go ahead and put it, adjust my feed dog so that it walks a little bit higher. I wanna make sure that y'all can see. Let me move y'all so that y'all can see all this. So I wanna make sure that y'all can see a better view without my hands being in the way. So there we go, cylinder. Sorry. And now I'm just going to, I have my needle down. I'm gonna hold my threads. Take a couple stitching and then back stitch. I'll lock that in place. Like I said, I'm going at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I wanna make sure that everything stays lined up. I'm gonna put my handles inside so I'm just pretty much gonna guide this. So now that I am a little bit past all that like extra bulk, I'm just going to make my foot walk a little bit lower. I just wanted to be able to get over that zipper at first. So I'm adjusting it back to a lower like walking height. Making sure my needle is down whenever I'm pulling off a clip. And like I said, I'm just gonna go at 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Well, not all the way around, just on this side at 1/4 of an inch. Or 1/8 of an inch for me. You can do 1/4 of an inch if you want to. So now I'm going to take off both these clips right here. I'm going to adjust, and I can see right where I left that marking at, so I'm just going to make sure that everything lines up. I'm getting over some bulk, so just in case, I'm going to go ahead and adjust it to like a 4, just so I can get over. You can see that bulk right here. I want to make sure that I can get over it with my foot, so I'm adjusting the height just a little bit, and it's able to walk over it. So now I'm just making sure I'm aware where that 1 inch is at, the 1/8 of an inch. Now I can start moving it out of the way. I just want to make sure that you move it out of the seam allowance. You don't want to get it attached. There we go. And now we can back stitch. Whoops, sorry. Gotta figure out a way to be able to show you how the cylinder machine is working without There we go. That is all done. And now we pretty much are going to do the same exact thing that we did to this side to the other side. So you're going to unzip your zipper. Well, actually, what I like to do is I actually like to make sure that I put my zipper the right way. So, yeah, there we go. Just going to twist it like that so that I know I'm in the right spot. Oh, no. So I need to remark my 2-inch marking because it wiped off. Because that's where you're going to want to start your, or put your zipper. I want to make sure it's even. So I'm just going to real quickly, once again, I'm going to close my zipper. I want to make sure, oops, sorry, I'm going to move y'all just to me so you can see. So I want to make sure that my zipper is going the right way. So what I do is I keep it, pretty much closed. And then I put it on as if I was like, if the zipper was going to close. And then I open it because I know I'm going to flip it one more time to line up to that mark and that it's going to be the correct way. I didn't I didn't like twist it more than it needs to be because you don't want to accidentally twist it too much. Dropping on my clips. So like I said here, I'm just going based off of the vinyl, not my like overhang of my foam. So I'm just gonna continue clipping all the way. Okay. So there we go. Marked. And so now I know that when I, like, you can check this by like going to like close it, like pretend to close it, and you'll see that it will, the zipper will close. It's not twisted or anything. And that's just how I know that I have my my zipper the right way. So it's clipped. Now we can, I'm gonna trying to see like what's a good way I can like show y'all. Okay, hopefully that's a good angle. I'm gonna move my light down to the other side. Maybe that will help. Okay. So now I'm going to start on this end. And I'm going to start right at that line, or that 2-inch marking. Put my foot down, making sure that my making sure I'm at that like 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Yep, okay. So now I'm just gonna pull this out of the way, just like that, while keeping this straight. And I'm going to I'm just going at that 1/8 of an inch, and now I'm like right where that Sharpie marking is that we put on the lining, and that's where you want to make sure that your needle catches the make sure that's where your needle catches your zipper again. And then we're just gonna go all the way at an 1/8 of an inch, just like I did. And I'm just looking at my zipper and making sure that my vinyl is what I'm sewing at an 1/8 of an inch and not the excess foam. If you want, you could totally cut the foam out so that it's nice and even. The needle's down, so I'm gonna adjust. You just gotta find like the most like comfortable way to hold this. So I'm gonna adjust the walking or the height of my foot, since there's not that much bulk here. I'm just gonna continue, making sure everything is even. Okay, where did my snips go? Okay, so there is my second. So there is that. Hope you can see. Okay, so I know that my zipper is nice, it's in place. And now we can get to the fun part, which this part I feel will be a lot easier because you're going all the way around, which is nice. I just need to find my okay. So we're going to unzip, place the exterior right sides out into the lining, which is going to be wrong side out. You're going to match your pockets. I like to have my, so let me move y'all. So I like to have where my zipper is what's closest to my body. My slip pocket, I like my slip pocket to be more so on the furthest side of the bag, like in the front. So in order to do that, all you're going to do is that's how you're going to match your bag. So whatever you want in the front, that's what your bag should match, your front of your bag should match. So since I want the slip pocket in the front, I'm going to make sure that my front side of my exterior is what's touching my slip pocket. My zipper, I want the back of my. So here we go. So the thing is that your lining is gonna feel or look slightly smaller, which is okay because that means it's gonna fit nice and snug into your bag. What I do in order to fix this is I just grab my bottom panel of my exterior and I just kind of pull it up a little bit into the bag. So kind of like this. You can see how it's kind of pulling up. It shortens my my exterior at the bottom, and I can push down a little bit more on the bag to even it out here. So just like this. So now it's nice and it'll be nice and even. So you're going to want to make sure that you put your zipper into your bag. So make sure that it's the right way. Just stick it in just like that. We'll make sure that this is going down the right way and that this also is going down the right way also. And so I'm just going to stick it through my D-ring because I find that that holds it in a lot better. So I'm going to stick it in through my D-ring. It holds it so that it's like that when I clip it. And now we're just going to clip our seams together. So clip seams. Let's pull this down just a tad. Okay. Clip seams again, or not like clip, like cut them, like clip like this. And then this is why I was saying I did not mark my centers. It would have been a lot easier if I had, because then I could just mark this center and then but what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue. I'm just going to start by matching the seams, and then I'll match my centers of the long side and go from there. So again, make sure that my D-ring is pushing down so it's not in the way, it's facing down. Match my seams here. Make sure that your handles are down and out of the way. And I'm going to match my centers. And I can see where my centers are on my and so now I'm just going to clip my edges. Like this. I'm just making sure, like I said, I tend to use a lot of clips. So that's lined up. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my other side so I can see right where my center is at. So I'm gonna line it up. And now I can just go from one side to the middle and do the same to my other side. I'm just clipping to hold it all in place. And now I can move on to my sides here. I can just go from one side to the other. So I just made sure everything is nice and aligned. And now I can go ahead and do the same thing to here. So I'm gonna make sure that my zipper is not twisted right here. I wanna make sure that it's being kind of pulled down so that it's not gonna get caught when I'm sewing. I want it out of that I want it out of the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to there we go. So now we have our bag clipped. So now we can get back to the cylinder machine. Gonna make sure I move y'all so y'all can see. And on this one, you can pretty much start anywhere. I'm gonna start right in the center of the bag. And I'm gonna adjust my light because I'm gonna wanna okay. So I'm just adjusting the light so I can see it. My foot. And I'm gonna start just right here. And we're going at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I know that my 1/4 inch is right here on the edge of my foot. So, holding my threads, I'm going to put my needle down. And I'm going to make sure I backstitch. And I'm just going to make sure everything stays nice and aligned. Just gonna make sure everything lines up. My needle is down. Okay. I'm gonna go, I kind of got a little off track right here. You can see where it's not like fully 1/4 of an inch. So I'm gonna go back and I'm going to re-stitch that part. Whoops, my light fell off. So now I'm going to I'm gonna adjust my foot height so that okay. So that is now done. We can now birth the bag. So make sure I'm not missing any comments. So I forgot to open up my zipper, but that's okay because I became really good at opening up a zipper without, so you can see it's closed. So what I like to do is I just get my nail and I just move it. Now it's open. Not really my nail because they're short, but like I just kind of like get and just move it. going to start with one corner of the bag, and we are going to pull this thing through, and we're pretty much almost done, like, not almost, we pretty much are done. We just got to top stitch. So I'm going to pull out my bottom. So I'm going to start with one side of my bottom, and now I'm pulling out my second part of my bottom right here. Being careful not to pop anything. And now I can start birthing this through. Once you pull that exterior out, it gets easier to do to follow out on the rest. Now we just need to top stitch. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get some of my blue clips, and I'm going to clip everything so that it's nice and even, I guess, like so everything's held. So what I'm doing is I'm just rolling down my lining down so that it's not like so it's not, I guess, making like a lip on that side. Then I'm going to change my stitch length on my machine to a 6. Show you the finished bag. We can put on the straps, and it's done. I'm super excited that y'all got to see, experience me doing a bag on my cylinder machine for the first time ever. And I hope that it helps others in the future. And I will definitely be making a lot more videos on this machine. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to top stitch. And if you know me, I like to start in the back. So I'm going to actually start like right here on this side. Like more so towards the back. So like right here on the back side. And then I'll go all the way around and get, back stitch when I get back to here. Just because it kind of gets me in the groove of top stitching, so that by the time I get here, my top stitching is like at its best point, which is the front. So I'm going to pull this, change my stitch length to a 6, and turn y'all back so y'all can see. Get my light on because it turned off. Okay, hopefully y'all can see. This is not in the way. So I got my back side, making sure I'm at the right point. You want to make sure also that this is out of the way. You don't want to accidentally top stitch this onto this side like that. You want to make sure it's out of the way so it's not. And we're gonna stitch this at 1/8 of an inch. And I would feel at this point, I think I'm gonna get more feet so that I can have like 1/8 of an inch top stitching one. I think that will be really nice. I won't have to worry. I can get some really nice top stitching. So I'm gonna grab my threads. Move these clips here. Like I said, the clips are more so for me. Grab. Put my needle down. All right, here we go. Definitely have to get used to all this because I cannot keep it on that 1/8 of an inch. definitely need to get used to this because I think let's move y'all towards me. Definitely need to get used to holding it. You can see it's a little wonky, but I got to, it's gonna take practice, because holding, I just have to learn how to hold it. So for my first time top stitching, I'm actually really, really impressed on how well I did. But like I said, it's a learning curve. I'm gonna have to, it's just something I'm gonna have to learn to do. So there is the inside of the bag. Now I'm gonna add the, I want to add my zipper end, but I also want to zap some of these threads. I just need to find where I put it. Where's this? So I went ahead and I grabbed my long straps. Sorry. My kids are outside playing, but there was somebody that was like racing down the street, so I wanted to make sure that an adult was out there with them, but I think my mom is. Okay, so I'm just going to, so you can see me, I have some threads that I just want to zap. So there we go. Okay, looks good. Got my thread stop. Let's go ahead and we can add the zipper end real quickly. Close that up. And this is how I like to do my zipper end. If I can find my double-sided tape. Thank you, everyone. What thread zapper do you have, Cindy? Because mine you open from the bottom here. So this is how I put on my zipper. And so I grab a couple of these. I snipped some of the double-sided tape and I just put it right here, oops, on the end. Close it here like that. Grab this side, do the same exact thing. And add it in like that. Now, I get my zipper. And I can just slide it on. Nice and easy. And if you're having trouble, I just get my stiletto and I just push it in. And there we go. Zipper is in. Grab my my screwdrivers over here on my other machine.
You rearranging mid-video or what?
I had to. It was terrible. I rearranged before I started.
You don't put your shoes on?
No, I don't. Are they not in our room? Maybe they got left in the car. Okay, so zipper's in. Now we can just real quickly do our straps. So I did I guess technically I didn't really need to do, no, yeah. So grab into here. Now, hopefully it fits. Looks like my straps are not gonna fit in here. I might have to see if I can find order some wide mouth ones from Mormino. This vinyl is a little bit thick, and I don't have any more. I don't have any more silver and wide mouth because the last couple of times I placed my order in, they didn't have any, and I really don't like having a fiddle with this. So I'm not gonna be able to do the straps like I wanted to. That's okay because I can just show you what it looks like now, and then that's pretty much it. I'll have to take pictures of it when I can order these. The wider straps. Ooh. Okay. So, let's just move y'all back. And so now all you have to do is you can just poke out your corners again to make sure everything is nice. See how nice and tight my lining is? Just poke everything out. And then I can do the straps later, at a later point. But, yep. This is it. The finished bag. And hopefully I can take pictures whenever I get those strap-ins. I'm going to go, actually, as soon as I get off, I'm going to go and place an order from Lauren. So, that's pretty much it. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So I just do, I open it from the bottom to place in yeah, so you probably might end up having to, you might have to buy another one of these. If you took the top off, it could have probably messed it up. Because you take it off right here to put the battery in. So that's the finished bag. Thank you everybody that stuck with me last night. Oh my, it was forever long. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I did not realize I was gonna go till 2 in the morning. But yes, y'all will definitely be seeing more of me. Like I said, I've been trying to get permission from designers and stuff to do their patterns. So, if you find a designer you like, comment, message me or something on Facebook, and I will definitely love to reach out to them and see if I can do the sew along for them, or a live or a tutorial. Rosie, yes, thank you. Definitely. You can also join I have a Facebook group called Casting Handcrafted. So y'all can go ahead and join if y'all want. Y'all can share your bags in there. Also kind of where you can get updates for those that may have like purchased interfacing, the SewFuse or SewFuse Plus, and you can show us like what you made with it. So please, you can join my group. I'll go back through and I will go back through and link everything that I used, the Thor, my thread, my Facebook group, and stuff like that. Hello, Pierre. You missed it. Pierre just did her first full bag. So, oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, okay, good, Rose. I'm happy to hear that you're already in the group. I know, I feel like Cindy is in the group already too, if I remember correctly. But yes, so for those that are just hopping on and may have just seen, this is the finished bag. Pierre, regardless of if my top stitching is kind of wonky, you are correct that the stitching is so different compared to my Juki DDL 5550. So, yeah, I really like this machine so much. It might become my #1, which will be surprising. But yes, so thank you everybody. Like I said, for sticking with me, and I will see you on my next live. It's summertime for the kids. My mom is a teacher, so she's off. So that just means that I will be kid-free a lot of the time in the summer. So yes. But yes, so I'm going to hop off. If you have any questions, message me or comment below. Definitely, Pierre, definitely worth the money, 100%. I'm so glad I decided to do it, because I probably would have never done it if I hadn't done it when I did it. So I'm going to let y'all go because my little boys are leaving to go to my parents. I want to say bye to them. So thank you, everybody, and I will see y'all around. Bye.